Hello there everyone, today's video we're going to take a look at PAYE and when it applies to income derived from an employment. So most people are familiar with if you have a job, you're employed by somebody and you get a wage slip and PAYE is deducted. But there are several types of payments where in the past taxpayers have tried to dress it up as something other than income and say, well, actually, it's not taxable for whatever reason. It's quite famous tax cases, actually, a lot of them involving footballers, would you believe, in terms of who's paying for what, inducements to move clubs or whatever. Anyway, this video today, nothing to do with footballer. This is to do with a chap, a wealthy guy who was a shipping magnate, and he sold his shipping business for a lot of money. And he said, you know what, I'm feeling so good about that and so generous, I'm going to reward my entire worldwide workforce with a bonus. I'm going to give them a bonus. And this bonus apparently equated to roughly, on average, 50% of the year's salary for each employee. So what a fabulous parting shot from the boss that was when he sold this shipping line. So anyway, so these employees, and there was a lot of them all over the place, would have received their wage slips. So the ones in the UK received it with tax deducted. Fair enough. It's like having any other regular bonus. But then some bright spark, some tax advisor probably, was acting for this guy and said, hang on a minute, you did what? You deducted PAYE? Oh, no. You shouldn't have done that because what you paid them was actually didn't fit the rules of what counts as income from an employment. And anyway, so the company submitted a in-year adjustment to their PAYE to HMRC, trying to reclaim it all back, saying, hang on, we made a mistake, we shouldn't have deducted the PAYE on that gratuitous bonus to all the staff for reasons which I'll explain. And HMRC said, I don't think so. You've got it wrong. Whoever advised the rich guy, shipping magnate, has got it wrong. We're going to take you to the courts. And this is what the courts said. So, first of all, let's get into the nitty gritty. To have something from the employment that is taxable is basically two things, two legs of the legislation. The first one is this. Number one, is it what we call an emolument? Emolument, very oldie English word. No one talks about emoluments, but unfortunately it is in the tax law. So we have to talk about emoluments. Emoluments derived from employment. So is it an emolument derived from an employment? Okay, that's the first thing. That basically means income, but it can be more than that. But it's so the term emolument. Number two in the definition of what gets taxed is whatever has been paid. Has it been paid by reason of employment? So emoluments deriving from employment, and has it been paid by reason of employment? Okay, so they're the two things. Now then, let's have a look at analysing each of these out. So in this court case, number one, emoluments from employment. Emoluments from employment. So the facts were, this payment, this, big half of the salary in one go, extra amount, bonus, call it what you will, was not contractual. It was a surprise for these employees. They hadn't got a clue that the old guy was going to leave them so much money. He hadn't died, but you know what I mean? He's going to give them so much coin as a parting shot. Not expected, not contractual, doesn't form any sort of regular pattern. It was just a one-off. Never going to be repeated. Now, this guy, crucially, he funded it himself. So the company didn't try and get any sort of tax deduction for this. He funded it. But he ran it through the company payroll for administrative ease because, that all the people on the payroll, it would have been slightly more difficult to each send them all a check from his personal bank account. So he ran it through the company payroll as like an admin for ease of the admin, but he bore the full cost of this. All right. So that's the fact pattern. And the courts basically said, actually, all of that is not an emolument from employment. All right, so far so good. So the company's onto a winner so far. What about strand number two? So, strand number two, remember, paid by reason of employment. So, I'll read my own writing here anyway. To receive the payment, you had to be an employee. To receive that payment, you had to be an employee. You didn't get the payment if you weren't an employee. That's the first thing. Secondly, the actual payment was based on how long you'd worked for this guy for, worked for the company, and the salary level. So depending on how much you're already on, there was like a formula for deducting it, although no one really tested what that formula was, but it was loosely based on length of service and salary amount, determined how much you got in this bonus. There was no personal relationships between the members of staff and this guy as well. It was connected through work. He was the boss of work. There was no personal arrangements here. So for those reasons, the court said that the money was paid by reason of employment. For these reasons, the monies was paid by reason of employment, even though it did not constitute an emolument from employment. So the bottom line is, it didn't meet condition number 1, it did meet condition number 2. And you don't have to meet both. As long as you meet one of these, it's subject to PAYE. So unfortunately, the company lost the appeal. Will it go through to the courts, the next round, the upper tribunal? I don't know. But just an interesting video there, a recent court case all about what constitutes taxable income from a company. Like I said, for the vast majority of people on a day-to-day basis, month-on-month basis, your PAYE and national insurance and income tax will be deducted from your pay slip, and that's pretty much cut and dry. But for these quirky moments in life where the philanthropic chairman decides to spend tens of millions or however much it was on saying thank you to his staff as a parting shot, how is that tret? Well, through that analysis, it's tret just like any other sort of regular bonus. However, half of the 2 strands was actually it was defeated, but the other half was caught. So there you go. Just an overview there on some employment income tax. If you like this video, please do subscribe, and as always, I'll see you soon.